gathered that a former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has already been summoned for questioning by the commission over his secret assets and financial deals exposed in the Pandora papers. And of course, the acting manager, Nigeria Ports Authority, Mohammed Bello Koko, and of course, Odua were mentioned in the probe. It's no longer news, but what is new is the possible investigation of the persons concerned. I know the last time we talked about this, you expressed some sort of hope that this will yield to nothing because we have had similar investigations and reports. So what do you make of this latest development?
I think just like we asked that question that very period, where are others? Remember we asked that question. Because when we first got this, the only name we saw, there was a situation of
Peter
Obi alone, and we are asking others. But now we are made to understand that he's not just the only person. We are told that even the former Lagos State Governor, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is also involved. So as they are inviting Peter Obi for questioning, they should tell us when Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be invited, because he's also mentioned in that Pandora's paper. We would excuse those who have immunity, because there are those who have immunity. Because you find out that Dapo Abiodun, the governor of Ogun State, is also mentioned in that Pandora's paper. You'll find out that Boyuga,
Kebbi State Governor.
I'm coming. No, the Kebbi State Governor is expected. Is expected. So you have the governor of Osun State, Boyuga Oyetola, also mentioned. But then you find out that Abiodun and Oyetola, they are all from the same political bloc with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They are all from the same political bloc. They were also, because they are serving governors, so you expect immunity to cover them, because they cannot be arrested, they cannot be prosecuted. But that does not mean investigations cannot be conducted, waiting when the immunity will cease to exist. You can conduct discreet investigations. And then also, the governor of Kebbi State, you mentioned Atiku Baguda. Just like we say, this is not the first time we have seen such scandal hanging on his neck. I remember there was this arrangement we were told that he had with the government, whereby he was to pay back certain amount of money because he was the one used to take money off from this shore, from Nigeria, during Abacha time. Because some of the repatriations and all that, in fact, there was a plea bargain anyway, which some, like New Jersey, and let's not go there. Let's not go there. But that's just like I say, they are not just, we also have a business mogul, as you have in that in that report. Now we are concerned about, because just like I said, nobody is trying to hide anybody. Nobody is trying to hide anybody. Or P2B, we are told that has been asked to come to the office, I think 28th of October. If I could recall, that is the period he was asked to, 27th. Yeah. He was asked to come to the commission's headquarters in Abuja on the 27th of this very month, and then come with, I don't know whether he was asked to come with anything, but it was purely stated that it was purely for questioning. And then I have made a very statement before now that we have seen this release before. We have Panama paper in 2016, where many people were named, and we had thought that EFCC would have done a thorough job on these papers. But some people were saying, don't expect those things you are talking about, because P2B is of PDP. That those other persons you are talking about, they belong to APC. So you don't expect a quick summon from the anti-graft agency for their questioning. You may not expect that. But for the fact that, he asks, is P2B the only person in PDP? You have Stella Odua. You have Stella Odua, who was also mentioned in that. But then, there are other senators, not just... Obi
is a special case. I think that's why the focus is so much on the expectation from
why
him.
Is Obi a special case?
You said it's a special case. The expectation from him, the fact that he's known for financial transparency and accountability, and his name being mentioned raised eyebrow in some quarters, perhaps.
That's just their thoughts. Anybody can profess to be a saint. As you are seeing me, I can tell you today I'm a saint. So if tomorrow that's something...
No, it's not by word of mouth. It's by what you say.
But the truth is...
you judge other people.
The truth is this. And then many of us were shocked, just like we said. I was actually looking at some of these tax havens. You have Cayman Island, British Virgin Island, you have Bahamas, you have Samoa. These are, you can name some of these. There are many of them. And we must establish here, having an offshore company or asset is not illegal. We must establish it here. It's not illegal. But what is illegal?
Explain that.
What is it? What is it?
Explain that. Explain it.
No, definitely. I'm going to explain that. What is illegal is when you avoid tax. It's criminal, not even illegal. It's criminal to avoid any form of tax that should be paid to government. Once you, for one reason or the other, you evade tax. Tax evasion is criminal. And then if is convicted upon prosecution, diligent one, definitely is a prison term or possibly fine. Either of the two. Or both can even run concurrently. Fine and then prison time. So that's just like we said. And we have said reasons why some of these companies are put out there. Just like I explained the other time. It's purely you want to hide some assets. And you want to protect some companies and businesses. You want to evade tax. And whenever you have offshore company, offshore means something that is not, if you have any company that is not resident in your own country, it becomes an offshore. But we have tax havens in the world. Some of the countries I've mentioned, some of these countries have a population of 900,000. Some of these countries have a population of 1.2 million. Some of these countries have a population of 2.3 million. These are the size of the population. But sometimes you find out that they provide tax haven for wealthiest in the society, super individuals, super rich individuals, to bring in, and the kind of tax they do give out will be something very low, because these countries may need just for their survival. Nothing goes on there. For their own survival, they will have a tax law that prefers nothing or little on some of these assets and companies and businesses. Many banks operate. I was actually looking at one of the, I think Cayman Island. I was actually asking, how many banks do we have there? About 230 something banks. Can you imagine? You ask how many banks are in Nigeria. I don't know if there are more than 100, but in a small country like that, you have 230 something banks. And you look at some of the services they render to people. They register they issue certain licenses, they do certain registration for some people, and then it's a very safe place for money laundering. And these countries have a law that they can never, in any way, in any form of prosecution, open up or review the identity of those owners of the companies and assets. They cannot do it. That is why some people go there and set up these companies for protection. They don't want anybody. And they do set up, they will give you a window to set up a phantom board of directors, because definitely for you to register or incorporate a company, you must have a board of trustees. They can give you such window to have such a phantom board. Phantom in the sense that something that does not exist. Anybody can be used to, firm up a board that does not exist. And then sometimes you may not even know the services they offer. You may not even know the services they offer. Sometimes you may not even know the products they offer. You may not even know anything. They block the word.
Oh, the fact that they were uncovered means that at the end of the day, they're not really phantom. But let me take you on your first statement, which you said having offshore companies is not illegal. But then again, how do you measure that with the requirements of the law for public officers, especially governors, who are not supposed to be heading any sort of company?
The truth is this: if you are a governor, it's expected that you will not have a foreign account by law. If you have one, by law, it's expected that you have to declare it and possibly suspend it. You cannot operate a foreign account as a governor. Go to code of conduct bureau, because these are some of the things, and you must declare every asset owned by you. You must declare every asset, offshore, or even the one you have in the country. And then not just that, you will not operate any foreign account. And these are some of the things.
You will not own any business.
You will not.
You will not preside over.
If you have business interests, where you a board member or you are the chairman of board, you must resign.
All right.
You must resign as a board member, as a chairman of the business, and then that is to make sure that your interests cannot conflict with that of your governance. So that's what the provision of.
So to say that you can have offshore companies is not right.
No, the thing is, if you have offshore company and possibly want to contest for governor, all you need to do is to declare them.
Now.
You declare them, and possibly where you are the board member or you are the owner, definitely you may be the chairman, you resign your position.
All right.
As the chairman and hand over to the next person. These things are done openly. But the situation whereby you did not declare them at all raises an eyebrow, which is illegal as far as Nigerian law is concerned. Owning an offshore company is not illegal, but not declaring it as a governor becomes illegal. And going further, and one thing is this: why offshore company at all? Because why people run for offshore companies? Just like I've mentioned earlier on, the primary reason for many people who have these offshore companies, they evade tax. Because I can steal government money and then put it there. If you go there, they will not tell you. The country will not tell, because people that review this thing, not the country, investigative journalists who disguise themselves in many ways and operated with some of these companies and did business with one of these companies. That is how they got this document. The country have a law that they will not reveal even the real owner of the company, the identity of the board, nothing at all about the company you will know. So that is the tax havens. But the point we are trying to make here is just like I have established here, owning such companies, because you can because if you put up these countries in your own homeland, you will be, so much infuriated with the taxes you're going to pay: income tax, capital gain tax, this tax, that. How many taxes we pay? Some of them will go there to put up these companies in just a way not to pay some of this. But that's not just the whole thing. It becomes most companies you have there have been a conduit pipe for public treasury looters.
All right.
They loot public treasury and not all of them.
And that's why EFCC must investigate.
That is what I'm saying. Not all of them, but good number of them make investment in some of these, and some of the companies we have here are investment companies. That's kind of these companies that gives or offers some surreptitious services and all that. So my concern is, look at what I've said. There is nothing wrong inviting P2B for questioning. He will explain more. But as you are inviting him, the Jagaban, the Bola Ahmed Tinubu mentioned, should also be invited. And then, because others, just like we have some governors, they have immunity, so you cannot do anything about it. So, but then those who do not have immunity should also be invited for questioning.
So, generally speaking, now for the regular man on the street, the offense that the former governor must have committed, talking about Mr. P2B, was that he did not declare those assets owned outside the country.
Definitely, let's not preempt everything, but in our own eyes, it sounds to be the offense. Let's not preempt anything, because he has defense to make in the eyes of the public. The only
he has said it with his mouth.
No,
of course, he said it several times.
If you own a company with other people, you're supposed to declare. So
just like I've explained, you must declare your own interest. If I could own a company with you and I want to run a governor, and if you look at some of the people that have done a detailed work, they said, I don't want to go into personal things. They said that one of the companies' name is Gabriela And then one is, I think...
the son's name.
Yeah.
I think
that he used the son and the daughter's name to open this company, and the one that he used with the wife name to open it. That's the names of some of the companies that he has offshore. They bear some of these names. And they were looking at it when these companies were set up. It became curious that at the time you were governor, some of these companies were established. It's a curious thing, but it's something he has to defend himself. Because if you look at some of things we have read on the papers, one was established in 2006, one was established in 2008, and it's a curious thing.
Well, I've had people who want to argue for him, saying that he had tendered his resignation at the time, and it was not really affected. The document didn't really affect it, so to speak. I think it did it by word of mouth, and from what I gathered from the law that existing, it doesn't matter how you tender it, by word of mouth or by written document. All that has to happen is you telling the board that you're resigning. So I've had people make up that argument. Do you think it's a good case?
Just like we have said, he has a defense to make. You have just mentioned those who defend or who come up with a defense for him, saying that all you need to do is a kind of declaration that he resign and this, he resign. I think one of the defense he's going to make would be that the company, the one registered with his wife, is something that the wife set up on her own. I'm just preempting anyway, because these are some of the things he may likely tell
So those are the children, they can't defend that one.
No, he can't go there and tell them that the one registered with Gabriel or Gabriela, my daughter set up that company on her own.
At what age?
Don't worry. No.
You're looking for a soft landing.
What we are trying to do here is we are trying to preempt certain things.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Doing some permutations there.
The most important thing is that we are doing some permutation and all that. So, and apart from that, he will tell the EFCC that the one opened with the son's name, it has nothing to do with that. That his son on his own set up the company and manages the company in an offshore. Because if questions become something, you must find a way. Because the most important thing
is to share a lot of documents to EFCC.
Because and then my concern is the Gabriela Investment Limited was established. Gabriela Investment Limited, one of the offshore companies, was set up sometime around November 17, 2010. Gabriela Investment Limited, set up on November 17, 2010 with registration number. We are not going to call it because it is in the public domain. And then you also have the company was incorporated, the nominee director met and issued 550,000 shares of Gabriela Investment in favor of Hill International Holding Corporation, a Shell International business company operating under the law of Belize, another tax haven. And then the question now is, the director of the company is Mr. Van Vuren. This Mr. Van Vuren, a South African, has always been the director of all the companies the former governor is alleged to have in this offshore tax havens. The same man, Mr. Van Vuren. So, but then, if he goes there, he will tell the EFCC that Mr. Van Vuren, there is nothing wrong. If one man is the director in Gabriel, anyway, there's Gabriel Investment, Gabriela Invest, all these ones, the Van Vuren, you
will deny his company.
That's what no. It's not about denying.
Yes.
It's not about denying. I don't know why, if you are saying this, so many of you are laughing.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know why so many of you are laughing over this. It's not something you should laugh. But I'm not saying.
You're trying to see how this case can be argued.
Yes, because definitely, the concern is, just like we have said, if you go to that country to get any information, they will not give you. So EFCC will work with the leak. Because if you are thinking that you are going to go to the country, They have a law that protects some of these businesses.
All right, now
You can't get anything.
yes, tax avoidance, tax evasion. You hinted that sometimes these people use some of those companies to evade tax. I've had people trying to argue for people like P2P saying, see, what happened was tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is not illegal because you supposedly have paid your legal taxes and what have you. And so any means for you to hide certain assets, away from the government, just so you don't pay more than you are supposed to pay, is legal. I don't know if this is different from evasion and avoidance.
Evasion and avoidance are the same thing. Forget all these semantics. When you are trying to avoid something, you are trying to evade it. It depends on the nomenclature you are trying to use.
They said there is a court ruling on that, avoidance is different from evasion.
When we get there, we know.
Yeah.
Because if you go by the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act, the word used there is evasion.
Tax evasion.
Tax evasion. That's the word used there according to the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act. But then if you go further, Section 40 punishes tax evaders. Section 40 of the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act punishes tax evaders. And then in addition to this, they also say that it's a criminal offense under Section 41 of the Federal Inland Revenue Service Act not to even pay your tax. It's a criminal offense. And then we know very well that you have a term of imprisonment or possibly fine that comes out. I don't like for you to evade tax in Nigeria. It's a criminal offense. And if you are convicted, you will stay out of politics for 10 years. You stay out of politics for 10 years. That is according to the Constitution. So you pray. That's why some of these wealthy people, whenever they have tax issue, they try to resolve it. So they wouldn't want it to be any form of conviction, any form. So they try to resolve it. But just like I keep saying, this is not the first time. Because the last time we had Panama Papers leak, I don't know how many people were invited. You are giving me a sign there is no time. Okay, let's stop at that point.
Absolutely, because we can continue and go on with this. But Obi constantly being at the forefront of every headline means a lot. And linking it to what you're talking about, political office holders and their chances of not moving forward if they're indicted is what people are really concerned about. Now, let's give a mention to all the headlines. Only Clark can disclose National Assembly's budget details.